Welcome back to Elevate Daily, the space where you rise by reclaiming your voice, your presence, and your identity. Today's episode is about a pattern so many people fall into without even realizing it: shrinking yourself, shrinking your voice, shrinking your truth, shrinking your presence, shrinking your potential. Not because you're small, but because you were taught to be. This episode is your reminder that you are allowed to take up space. Shrinking is a survival strategy, not a personality trait. You weren't born shrinking, you learned it. You learned to shrink when being quiet felt safer, being visible felt risky, being confident was judged. You learned to shrink when being yourself wasn't welcomed, being bold made others uncomfortable. Shrinking isn't who you are, it's who you became to stay safe. And now that you're in a new season, that strategy is outdated. You don't need to shrink to survive anymore. You're allowed to expand. How shrinking shows up in your daily life? Shrinking is subtle. It shows up in macro moments. It looks like downplaying your achievements, softening your opinion, apologizing for existing. It shows like avoiding eye contact, waiting for people to speak first, hiding your gifts, pretending you don't know the answer, dimming your excitement, choosing silence over truth. These aren't personality quirk, they are identity cues. Cues that says, this is who I used to be, not who I am. Why you shrink even when you know you're capable. Shrinking isn't about lack of confidence, it's about fear of consequences. Fear of being judged, being misunderstood, fear of being too much, fear of being rejected, being envied, fear of being criticized, being seen. Your mind believes shrinking keeps you safe, but shrinking doesn't protect you, it limits you. You're not afraid of being big, you're afraid of being what being big will require. And that fear is ready to be released. The identity of someone who no longer shrinks is who you are going to give yourself going forward. To stop shrinking, you must shift your identity. Ask yourself, who am I when I'm not shrinking? How do I speak when I trust myself? How do I move when I'm grounded? What do I choose when I'm aligned? What do I tolerate when I respect myself? What do I walk away from when I know my worth? The version of you who doesn't shrink, stands tall, speaks clearly, moves intentionally. That version of you trusts their voice, honors their boundaries, and doesn't apologize for existing. This version of you already exists. You're just learning to live with them. Micro acts of expansion. You don't stop shrinking through force. You stop shrinking through practice. Micro acts of expansion look like saying what you actually think, accepting compliments without deflecting, sharing your ideas without over editing, taking up physical space, speaking at your natural volume, choosing what you want without guilt, letting yourself be seen. Every micro act expands your identity. Every micro act weakens the shrinking pattern. Expansion is muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Releasing the fear of being too much. Most people shrink because they fear being too much, too loud, too confident, too ambitious, too expensive, too visible. But here's the truth: you're not too much. You're too much for the wrong environment. The right spaces won't ask you to shrink, they'll ask you to shine. You don't need to become smaller, you need to become selective. Becoming someone who takes up space naturally. That's who you are. That's what you're born for. The goal isn't to force yourself to be bigger. The goal is to stop making yourself smaller. You become someone who takes up space naturally. When you trust your voice, you honor your truth. You choose alignment over approval. You speak without shrinking. You move without hesitation. You show up without apology. Taking up space isn't arrogance, it's authenticity. You're not here to fit in, you're here to be fully expressed. Take a breath, let your shoulders soften, let your mind settle. Ask yourself, what have I been shrinking? And what will it look like to expand myself? You don't need permission to take up space. You don't need approval to be yourself. You don't need validation to rise. You're allowed to be seen. You're allowed to be heard. You are allowed to be whole. This is your expansion. This is your return. This is Elevate Daily, and I love you.